In this segment, we're going to discuss the evil side of the invisible reality that surrounds mankind.
The Apostle Paul warns us of formidable spiritual adversaries, a demonic hierarchy of rulers, authorities, powers in this dark world system, and spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms.
First, let's review Satan's location and the whereabouts of his dominion. Many wrongly think Satan operates from a home base in hell. But that misperception deceives many Christians into dropping their spiritual guard.
Satan and his hordes aren't confined to hell. We can learn a lot about Satan's base of operations from Revelation chapter 12. There was war in heaven. The archangel Michael led other angels from God's armies against Satan and his nefarious allies. The enemy army was overcome and cast down from heaven. Satan and his rebellious angels were hurled to the earth.
This is where he now leads the whole world astray through his fiendish demonic spirits. The Apostle John records this heavenly warning. Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12.
And what is Satan's particular mission on earth? To make war against those who obey God's commandments and hold to the testimony of Jesus.
Satan is hunting down the followers of Jesus to destroy them. We'll come back to this topic in a later segment.
The governments of this world are under Satan's domination. This reality is revealed during Satan's temptation of Jesus. The devil led him up to a high place and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And he said to him, I will give you all their authority and splendor, for it has been given to me, and I can give it to anyone I want to. So if you worship me, it will all be yours. Luke chapter 4, verses 5 through 7.
Nowhere does Jesus deny Satan's assertion of ownership over the governments on earth. Nor does Jesus refute Satan's claim that he could give the governing authority to whomever he wanted. So keep this in mind as you consider the world you see around you.
Satan is alive on planet Earth, and he's permitted by God to influence the governments of this world through his demonic hierarchy.
The Apostle Paul takes pains to warn the followers of Jesus in Ephesus about the reality of this satanic hierarchy. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12.
Our struggle is not against any other human being who's made in the image of God and for whom Jesus died. Our Father desires that we graciously represent him to other people, not fight against them.
Paul clearly defines our opponents in this spiritual struggle. Satan, rulers and principalities, authorities, powers of this dark world, spiritual forces of evil.
The terms rulers and principalities imply authority over large areas of the earth.
Our struggle is also against authorities. These are powerful spirit beings which are given their position by the rulers.
The powers of this dark world are spirit beings who exercise control over earthly domains.
And lastly, Paul informs us of spiritual forces of evil in the heavenlies. These are demonic armies in the unseen realm carrying out satanic orders.
Keep in mind that the Bible tells us that 1/3 of the angelic hosts were thrown out of heaven with Satan down to earth. Only God knows the precise number, but they are here on earth all around us in the unseen reality.
You may not want to be reminded of this, but each of us who now follows Jesus was once a slave to demonic rule. Your fleshly desires cooperated with demonic rule to make you a slave to sin. As Paul reminds the Ephesians and us. As for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the Spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2.
Not one of us was good to begin with. Paul's admonition to the Ephesians reminds us that our lives before we repented and responded to Jesus were as foul as theirs were. We deserve nothing but God's wrath either. All of us also lived among them at one time, gratifying the cravings of our sinful nature and following its desires and thoughts. Like the rest, we were by nature objects of wrath. But because of His great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ, even when we were dead in transgressions. It is by grace you have been saved. Ephesians chapter 2, verses 3 through 5.
We can gain some insight into the demonic principalities by examining Daniel chapter 10. A ruler or spirit prince over a territory is shown in action here, opposing God's messenger to Daniel.
You may want to pause here and read Daniel chapter 10 to refresh your memory.
Through a vision, Daniel had been given a message about a great war to come. The prophet was sickened by what he saw and sought God earnestly for the meaning of the vision.
3 weeks after his initial prayer, Daniel was along the bank of the Tigris River. A supernatural messenger of God appeared to him and told him,
Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, because I was detained there with the king of Persia. Now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the future, for the vision concerns a time yet to come. Daniel chapter 10, verses 12 through 14.
Let's consider what's happening here. As Daniel sought God in earnest, humble prayer, he was heard in heaven immediately.
Yet it took 3 weeks for the angel to break through the principality of Persia against someone or something who had sufficient power to detain him.
Only when the angelic prince Michael helped him was the angel able to complete his assignment and deliver God's message to Daniel.
Do you recognize the angelic and demonic hierarchy in operation here? You certainly get a clear picture of what's going on in the invisible realm around you. Principalities and powers try to hinder and thwart God's angelic agents so that we'll give up interceding in prayer. These evil beings intend for us to doubt that our Father even cares about our situation.
Let this lesson encourage you. While the prayers of a righteous person are effective, there may be a time lag until the angelic messenger battles through the demonic opposition. Stay repentant and don't give up praying.
From the 10th chapter in Daniel, we get deeper insight into the international extent of the spiritual warfare being waged. Listen to the words of God's messenger. Soon I will return to fight against the prince of Persia, and when I go, the prince of Greece will come. But first I will tell you what is written in the book of truth. No one supports me against them except Michael, your prince. Daniel chapter 10, verses 20 and 21.
God's messenger wasn't referring to earthly kings here, for no mere man could stand against a mighty angel.